Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to Way Up Trading. Now today I want to go over the chart for Carvana CVNA. Complete mission to the moon went on today, roughly 60% up at its height. Crazy time to get into the stock market right now. Squeezes are going on everywhere with several different stock tickers, and this is one of them. We saw a big move happen today. I'm going to be going over the chart today and see how things played out, how you might have been able to catch a move like this, just understanding the idea for certain levels, as well as what the momentum opportunities were on this particular stock. Also reading it on from a longer time frame to the more recent time frames, and to what we can expect going forward in the next couple of days, leading into the OPEX dates that we've been talking about several times on this channel. And we're going to do all of that right after this.
Squeeze it! Squeeze it!
All right, I got the chart pulled up here for Carvana CVNA. You can see today we had a great move, a massive move, a 56% close, roughly again over 60% at the peak of the day. And right now we have a closing amount at $24.23 was closing, down by 1.24% after hours, and the setup was looking amazing. Overall, I have right now pulled up the weekly chart just so you can get an idea of how this thing distributed throughout the last few months. You can see there was distribution happening ever since the close of 2021, where we started to drop down and have this pattern. There was fears of bankruptcy for this particular company and so on. Continued to play on along with the downtrend and what was happening in the rest of the market. Obviously, shorts came in to take advantage of this thing and push it all the way down in the weekly chart, well below this green line that I have marked as its weekly base, which is the bottom that it had ever since its inception back in 2017, and dropped all the way into what I consider to be a macro spring area before it's taking back off upward. Obviously, Carvana has a lot of inventory that was worth a lot of money to a lot of folks out there. Not just the fact that the company is what it is and how it's doing revenue-wise, but the company has value because of its assets. So it was still a good buy, even though the stock price was not reflecting the value of its assets. So what you see here is that this opportunity played itself out, but also from a Wyckoff sense, this was a mass distribution that took place here, the preliminary supply that took place. And you see this thing waterfall all the way down into a spring or automatic rally, and then it further drop down into this area here, which served as a spring in a test or spring test area back in early May 2023. Now we're actually playing the opposite side. We're actually in this new bull channel that's been set up here, and now we're moving upwards towards the top. My next target on this particular stock is going to be around $30.62, as long as it can hold above just about where it closed, which is about $24.68 was the last target I had before the retracement. We'll take a look at some closer time frames to see what we got going on. If there's still opportunity to get in on this thing, if you're going to be able to, make some money on a swing play or shares, possibly even calls. I'm sure this thing is going to be juiced on the IV or implied volatility, so be very careful picking up any calls, making sure your entries are correct. Also, if you do already own shares, a great opportunity to play some covered calls, because there's a possibility that this can go upwards but also come downwards, but you need to be very careful on that as well in case you don't want your shares to be hauled away. All right, so we'll take a look at some closer time frames to see if there's opportunity available. But before doing that, just to let you know, if you're looking to play this bull channel that we have going on, you got to be careful with this. If it does break this $30 level, I can see this thing actually hitting somewhere around $72 within a few short days after that on the covering rally. So short covers are happening left and right within this market right now, so do be careful if you're going to play the cover call side, and if you're going to play puts and trying to catch the downside, because I don't see it happening just yet. So be mindful of that if you're going to take those kind of plays. So we got the daily time frame pulled up right now, and I have one of my favorite indicators pulled up, which is the ultimate average moving indicator, which basically shows several compilations of EMAs, SMAs on one individual location. Green says positive volume, red means negative sell-off pressure. And right now you can see we crossed over that, and this area started to flip green, and things have now started to move up to hit this 200 moving average or 200 EMA on the daily time frame, which is right where we bumped our heads at the high of the day. If this breaks, I mentioned before, we're going over to $30.62, and then from there we'll play the top of this bull channel. And if this has found the support after breaking resistance, you can bet you're going to go ahead and see the $72 range.
Okay guys, we're going to the moon.
So we'll watch that. We're gonna move closer in here to the 4-hour time frame, and there's a smooth moving average. I have a bearish pattern set up on the 4-hour time frame, which is telling us that we're gonna be at topping at the optimal range at 2468, which is actually what we bounced through and broke through at this point. So I'm expecting a little bit of consolidation, probably a broadening top pattern forming here where we get the cone shape up and down before actually making another move. I don't see it breaking down just yet. We'll take a look at some other indicators to get an idea if that's a possibility. We are in oversold territory or overbought territory right now on the 4-hour time frame, so we most likely may come back down on the RSI. This is a closer image of the RSI. We're probably going to come back down and consolidate a little bit underneath this range of the $24, and then again bounce around the level that I'm looking at that I have marked here, which is our last level of support, which is at $22.32. So $22.32 is what I'm expecting it to come back to, and most likely hold around here. It is a possibility that it can come down a little lower, but this general range is where I can see this happening, or maybe even a possible retest of the midline of this bull channel we drew out a little earlier on the daily time frame. So somewhere around here may be a possible retest, $22, $20, somewhere around that range before next reaccumulation to push a little bit higher toward that $30 range. At the same time, this thing can just continue to just push. I mean, it's a short covering rally. A lot of things can happen when you're in a short covering situation or a short squeeze situation, and it's looking like that's what's happening right now. But you got to watch volume. Volume is decreasing slightly on the push up. Obviously, again, we're going to probably go down and retest some major levels because it just blew right through it once it crossed over this midline level we have marked off. So pay attention to that as we go forward into the next couple of days. Now, the majority of the move on this particular stock happened in pre-market, and right now we do still have this downside gap still hanging around here. So I know a lot of people are looking to play the downside, the retest of the top of the broadening wedge, which I'll show you in just a moment, but I don't see it right away slicing through all of these support levels. I do see $20 as still being a very key psychological area to hold. It is possible, but do be careful of playing the downside on this thing while we're in a short squeeze situation. Just make sure you're paying attention to volume. If volume is decreasing as the price is coming down, it's an indication that it's not ready to drop down just yet. If you do get in, you got to be fast about getting in and getting out. So we're on the 1-hour time frame here. You can see in the last couple of days we had this gap that was actually built back on May 4th of 2023, and we've been in this pattern of a broadening ascending wedge, which is generally a bearish pattern. You look toward to break through to the downside, but this has been in such a situation of just bullish momentum that this has now broken some major key resistances that we had here, a certain downtrend we have here, as well as all of the major resistances. Again, all this is stemming from the macro spring area that we had underneath the $7 mark. It pushed it up. We got this big gap that was set up here roughly around between $7.25 and roughly about $8 that was never filled. So this is basically going to be considered a runaway gap. And we had this broadening situation here, which is again mostly a bearish setup, but we never broke back under it. We did break through, play that midline of the larger bull channel I showed you a moment ago. Got the retest of this thing on the ascending broadening wedge, and from there it was game on. The next gap took place where we got this 60% move today, and yeah, this thing is a rocket. So be careful, like I mentioned before. If you're going to be looking to take the puts, play them quick, get in, get out, watch your stop losses, make sure you're playing safely on this particular stock if you're going to play a downside scalp. However, this is an uptrend situation. The EMAs are all crossed over. This thing is looking like it wants to continue up, which is the general direction. So yeah, hopefully you can catch some more to come this move. Shares may be on the table if you want to take that route for a swing, because again, if we do go ahead and break this $30.62 range, I expect a retest of the bull channel, and this thing is going to $72 next target. So hopefully this video was helpful for you in this review. If you like this type of content, please like and subscribe. Leave any comments and questions in the comment section below. Join us on the way up. We're going to be here each and every day, growing our portfolios together and making the outcome income for 2023. Like, comment, and subscribe. See you on the next video.